Welcome back to the channel. Everybody sees the heading of the video. Why do we put up with this mess? How do we get here with dark money being the thing that runs our government? We've been raised to believe that the Supreme Court is supposed to be above politics. Like they just sitting up there calmly calling the balls and the strikes of this country. Like they're the adults in the room, right? But let's stop pretending. We got to stop pretending. Because over the years, that Supreme Court didn't just interpret laws. They changed who this country actually belongs to. And people feel it every single day, even if they don't know the legal cases behind it. People wondering why regular folks can barely get politicians to listen to them. Why billionaires somehow always get meetings, always get the things that they want. Why corporations keep getting everything that they want. Why nothing major ever seems to change for the middle class, no matter what. It never changes for us. This didn't happen by accident, and the rules got rewritten. And the Supreme Court helped to rewrite these rules. That's the part people don't want to say out loud. Because once the court started treating money like speech, the richest people in this country stopped being participants in our democracy. And they started to become owners of it. Now we in trouble. So this didn't happen overnight, like I said. This is why elections now feel less like public service and more like a bidding war. That's why every election cycle feels like somebody bought the government before us regular people even get into the room. I found this video. I thought it was wild that it would even be a part of something that we could talk about. Listen.
As we've seen, for me to be a pretty bad guy. So it's even easier for the President of the United States to be one, I would assume.
That's right.
Thank you very much. Let's play a lightning round game. I'm going to be the bad guy, which I'm sure half the room would agree with anyway. And I want to get away with as much bad things as possible, ideally to enrich myself and advance my interests, even if that means putting my interests ahead of the American people. I have enlisted all of you as my co-conspirators, so you're gonna help me legally get away with all of this. So, Mrs. Hobart Flynn, I want to run. If I want to run a campaign that is entirely funded by corporate political action committees, is there anything that legally prevents me from doing that?
No.
Okay, so there's nothing stopping me from being entirely funded by corporate PACs, say from the fossil fuel industry, the healthcare industry, big pharma. I'm entirely 100% lobbyist PAC funded. Okay, so let's say I'm a really, really bad guy. And let's say I have some skeletons in my closet that I need to cover up so that I can get elected. Mr. Smith, is it true that you wrote this article, this opinion piece for the Washington Post entitled, "These payments to women were unseemly, that doesn't mean they were illegal"?
Well, I can't see the piece, but I wrote a piece under that headline in the Post, so I assume that's right.
Okay, great. So, green light for hush money. I can do all sorts of terrible things. It's totally legal right now for me to pay people off. And that is considered speech. That money is considered speech. So I use my special interest dark money funded campaign to pay off folks that I need to pay off and get elected. So now I'm elected, now I'm in. I've got the power to draft, lobby, and shape the laws that govern the United States of America. Fabulous. Now, is there any hard limit that I have? Perhaps Mrs. Hobart Flynn, is there any hard limit that I have in terms of what legislation I'm allowed to touch? Are there any limits on the laws that I can write or influence, especially if I'm based on the special interest funds that I accepted to finance my campaign and get me elected in the first place?
There's no limit.
So there's none. So I can be totally funded by oil and gas. I can be totally funded by Big Pharma, come in, write Big Pharma laws, and there's no limits to that whatsoever.
That's right.
Okay, so awesome. Now, Mr. Mirabani, the last thing I want to do is get rich with as little work possible. That's really what I'm trying to do as the bad guy, right? So is there anything preventing me from holding stocks, say, in an oil or gas company, and then writing laws to deregulate that industry and cause, that could potentially cause the stock value to soar and accrue a lot of money in that time?
You could do that.
So I could do that. I could do that now with the way our current laws are set up. Yes. Okay, great. Is it possible that any elements of this story apply to our current government and our current public servants right now?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have a system that is fundamentally broken. We have these influences existing in this body.
Hello,
Which
Arthur.
means that these influences are here in this committee shaping the questions that are being asked of you all right now. Would you say that that's correct,
Yes.
Mr. Mirabani or Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
I thought that video was apropos. That's why these elections feel like less like public service and more like a bidding war. That's why every election cycle feels like somebody bought the government and us regular people, as I said, we don't even get into the room. And now we're sitting here acting shocked that ordinary Americans feel disconnected from politics. Most of us feel disconnected from politics because you're not representing my interest anymore. Dark money is not representing our interest anymore. And we feel locked out of the process. A lot of people feel locked out of the process. How did this start? The Supreme Court opened that door. It didn't happen overnight, of course. Again, this happened piece by piece, case by case, decision by decision. And every time the door opened a little wider for money to run into politics. First came Buckley v. Vallejo back in 1976. That's where things really started to change for interests, corporate interests, rich interests to beat out the regular American people. Because the court basically said spending money in elections is protected speech. Now think about what that really means in real life. Because speech ain't equal if one person got the microphone and the rest of us can't get the microphone. And another person, damn the stadium sound, money is squashing all the sound. Then rich people automatically get louder voices than everybody else. So from the beginning, this idea of equal political power goes sliding down the hill. Then we had Citizens United, which came in 2010.
The United States is about to break and nobody is willing to talk about it.
Hold on.
If we as a country don't make a change here, we are cooked. The media doesn't give it the attention it deserves.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
But our country, it's drowning in over $36 trillion in debt. And here's the terrifying part. We're now spending more than $1 trillion a year just to pay the interest, not the debt itself, just the interest. It takes my breath away whenever I talk about it, Imagine you maxed out your credit card that you have, then took out more just to cover your monthly payments. That's what we're doing as a government and as a country. And when the bill comes due, it's you who's going to pay the price. Higher taxes, slash services, or worse, God forbid, a financial collapse that would make 2008 look like a hiccup. If we don't change course here, folks, if we don't stop printing money, overspending, and kicking this can down the road, your future, our future, won't be stable jobs and affordable homes. It'll be layoffs, rent that you can't afford, and retirement accounts that don't mean anything. Heck, some of you are saying right now, I'm already feeling the effects. They'll try to distract you with these headlines and drama, but this is the real threat we are facing, and nobody's coming to save us. I'm curious, what do you think about this in the comment section below? For more unapologetic and trustworthy news, hit that follow button.
Well,
I appreciate you.
Gifts and corporate partnerships for over 10 years, I can tell you that Citizens United violates every single ethical principle in the field. And it didn't just change who gives, it changed what everything costs. And the number one cost in any campaign is ad buys. Think about wedding planning or Christmas shopping. The moment a vendor knows what you have, the price goes up. Not because the service changed, but because they know the ceiling. Media conglomerates knew exactly what they had, and they priced airtime accordingly. In ethical fundraising, the entire relationship is built on accountability to the mission, to the community, to the voters. Citizens United destroyed all of that. Now you can just write a 9-figure check through a super PAC and never speak to the candidate once. There's no relationship, there's no accountability, just access. That's not fundraising, that is a transaction. Now follow the money. Before Citizens United in 2008, this was the last election before the decision, $7 billion was spent in total in elections. By 2020, $16 billion. Super PAC spending alone exploded from $62 million to over $4 billion, and broadcasters priced every single dollar of it. So when a media company makes $491 million from political advertising in a single election cycle, do you really think they're going to demand campaign finance reform? Mainstream media is not going to dismantle the very machine that pays them. So the result is that candidates aren't just outspent, they're outpriced. Every election cycle breaks the record of the one before it. And if you're running without a billionaire super PAC behind you, the market is working against candidates before they've said a word to a single voter. That is the point. Citizens United handed mainstream media a direct financial stake in keeping that dark money machine running just forever. And it priced everyday candidates who want to serve their communities out of their own democracy. If you want to know if your candidate is taking super PAC money, go to opensecrets.org, just search their name. Every super PAC dollar funding their campaign is listed right there for free. Because an informed voter is the one thing that dark money can't buy. And if you don't like what you find, support the candidate who refused it. Give them $5, share their name, show up for them. Because when enough of us move together, small dollars beat billionaire checks every single time. That is how we move the needle.
So it was then the Citizens United came in 2010, and that decision blew the doors off financing completely. That's when outside money exploded everywhere. I remember people saying to me, oh, Kamala, she got $400 million or she got $1 billion and she still couldn't win. Donald Trump got millions of dollars. We didn't win. The American people didn't win. Super PACs, corporate influence, massive donor networks. They just wait a minute, when was it 210? The last person that actually got small donor money at a big gigantic clip was Barack Obama. His first campaign, that was all regular small donor people donating to Barack Obama's campaign. Look at the difference between now and then. Barack Obama, he built the infrastructure of small donor campaigns. Dark money groups hit the door in 2010. Suddenly you got organizations dropping tens of millions of dollars into races And most Americans never even heard about it. And we wondered why our candidates weren't representing us. And you wonder why they don't represent us today. People say, well, I know I voted for that person, and that person was supposed to do what I asked them to do, and I thought they ran on this and they ran on that. Big money is what controls these candidates. A lot of people out there saying, oh, Donald Trump, why he ain't doing what we want him to do? He ain't America first. No, he's rich America first. He's definitely not regular old ordinary people first. That boat has sailed. That boat has sailed. It been sailed. It sailed the first time Donald Trump ran. Nothing that we have or say could be related to anything Donald Trump is doing. This is all rich people's game. All rich people don't. You think I gave Donald Trump $5 and then the super PAC gave him $10 million? You think he finna do what I want him to do? That $10 million super PAC told him that you need to go to war. You need to make sure that we go to war, because going to war means profits go up for us rich people. I donated $5 to Donald Trump campaign because I didn't want to go to war. You think he finna listen to what I got to say because I spent $5? He's doing what his corporate rich super PAC people want him to do. He has been bought like every other politician that's out there. Every other politician. You have some politicians that get money, but they let it be known that they're not going to just kowtow. Donald Trump got so much money that you can't even recognize him anymore. You can't even recognize anything that he's doing anymore, because the first thing he did when he got into office was betray the American people. No, he didn't betray me because I wasn't thinking he was going to do anything. He betrayed that MAGA base. He betrayed that Marjorie Taylor Greene crowd. Okay. Now you got millions of organizations dropping tens. You got hundreds of organizations. I don't know how. I couldn't even begin. Dropping tens of millions of dollars on races. Most Americans don't even know or can't even conceive of that kind of money. And they don't care about democracy. They care about influence, power, policy, tax breaks. Like AOC said, if there's 10 senators or congressmen in a room and all 10 of them have taken $10 million from, I don't know, Benjamin Netanyahu, each one of them done took $10 million from Benjamin Netanyahu. Do you think my little funky $10,000, $20,000 is going to do any good to those senators in the room? They going to do what the big donors tell them to do. They going to do what the big donors want them to do. Because it's about policy and power, tax breaks, regulations getting deregulation, contracts, access, and the average person can't even compete with that. Then after Citizens United, we got the next level, making the money harder to trace. First, we had the fact that they could give money. Then we turned around and found out it was harder to trace that money, harder to see, harder to follow. Because now we got shell corporations popping out of their ass and giving money out of nowhere, dumping millions and millions into elections. And regular people don't even know who actually funding this stuff. That's where people start feeling like politics is one gigantic hidden game. That's when people say both parties are the same. Both parties ain't the same. Let's be clear. Both parties ain't the same. Okay? But they damn near close.
Stay steady. Eyes open.
Hi, this is part 2 of my Dark Money series. If you didn't see part 1, you might want to go back into my profile.
I must have put it on the wrong guy first. Yeah.
Mellon. He's an heir to the Mellon banking fortune. A little context first. I went to a Hillary Clinton fundraiser years ago and gave what I was told was the maximum amount that's legal to give directly to the campaign, which was something like $2,500. But now, thanks to the ultra-conservative Supreme Court, in a ruling that was several years ago, a ruling called Citizens United, which basically legalized corporate bribery, when people like Timothy Mellon give to a campaign through a PAC, a political action committee, there is no limit. So you may contribute your $5 or $10 or $50 based on the email you get, you know, the ones that ask you to chip in. But Timothy Mellon, in one swoop of the pen, can give 50 million. In fact, so far he's given around more than 70 million. I think it's 73 million total so far to the Trump campaign. We're not equal, folks. This is one conservative donor who, thanks in great part to Trump, had to pay lower taxes than he did before Trump got into office. A guy who made some money on his own, but in large part inherited his money. Oh, and by the way, he wrote that check for the $50 million the day after Donald Jezebel Trump was convicted in the hush money case. Donald J. Trump, the felon. Anyway, so because of one man, Timothy Mellon, millions of people will see misleading ads, billboards, radio commercials, just so people like Timothy Mellon and people like Timothy Mellon can live the life they want to live. Forget about workers' rights, women's rights, healthcare rights, LGBTQ rights, gun safety regulations, protecting Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. You know, all the things that Democrats invented, fight, and work for every day. We need to protect the billionaires. Donald Trump gave them a tax cut, and they love him for that. And so they lavish bucks upon his head. It's disgusting. We need you all, the normal people, to fight back. Definitely chip in as much as you can, and definitely spread the word about what's actually happening in America. We need to get back to more or less one man, one vote, you know, more or less being equal in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of the election process. Don't you think? Look, all politicians accept dark money, but more Democrats are starting to make noise about getting rid of dark money, stopping people like the billionaires giving as much as they want to get what they want, not what's good for the rest of America. We need to do two things. We need to get more Democrats in office, A, and B, we need to tell the Democrats that they need to stop dark money.
Biggest problems with Citizens United is that it made campaigns so expensive that most candidates can't even compete. And the reason why is probably not what you think. As a fundraiser in major gifts and corporate partnerships for over 10 years, I can tell you that Citizens United violates every single ethical principle in the field. And it didn't just change who gives, it changed what everything costs.
Right. And I think I had her already.
Small dollars beat billionaire checks every single time. That is how we move the needle.
Yes.
Stay steady, eyes open.
The United States has entered the Dark Ages. When Rome fell, Western Europe stopped moving forward, stopped progressing, stopped innovating for 500 years. Roman engineering was lost, literacy outside the church nearly disappeared, the arts stagnated. Rome's population went from 1 million to 30,000 people. But
y'all hit the like and share button, please, and thank you. Please hit that like button. It don't cost you nothing, but it helps me in the algorithm. I appreciate it. Please hit the like button.
the world didn't stop. Science, innovation, and progress just moved elsewhere. Baghdad's House of Wisdom translated Aristotle. Muslims invented algebra. Cordoba had streetlights and running water. Tang and Song China invented paper money, gunpowder, and movable type. And that's America today. University research funding has been cut. Arts programs are ending. Medical sciences replaced by anti-vaccine policy and unverified claims. Not surprisingly, life expectancy is below every peer country.
See, now here's where this really starts hitting people emotionally and in the gut, right? Because critics look at it this way and say, how are regular people supposed to matter in a system like this, where everything is getting cut, everything is taken away from us? And honestly, that's a fair question, because look, we have to look around. Healthcare costs still are crushing people. Housing costs are insane. Wages are struggling to come up. College debt is everywhere. People got debt, they got loans, they got all kinds of. Yet somehow the donor class always seems protected, no matter who's in office. Tell me I'm lying. They always seem to be protected, no matter who's in office. Why? Because money buys access. That's the real conversation. When billionaires dump hundreds of millions into politics, they're not doing it for charity. Corporations don't spend millions lobbying Congress because the board, they are expecting returns on their investment. When you see the people who have gotten donated to in Congress, you'll see who they serve. This is business for them. And once politics become investment strategies for these people, ordinary citizens stop being the customer. We ain't the customer no more. Every person that I have talked to in the past couple months say the world is out of control. The world is spinning on its axis. I don't know when it's going to stop. Gas prices, food prices, housing, all of this is out of control. They don't know when it's going to stop. That's why people feel like the politicians spend more time talking to donors than they do voters, paying attention to the voters than that's why we can't get health care. That's why we can't get free college and free lunch. That's why we can't do half the things that we want to do in this country. Ain't no way we should be going to no war and people can't afford health care around here. Ain't no way we should be going to war and every kid can't get free lunch. Ain't no way that we should be going to war and our people are as uneducated as they are and they can't afford to go to college. Okay? The politicians talk to the donors more than they talk to us. And this creates something that's very dangerous. A permanent campaign. Everybody fundraising. Everybody chasing billionaire approval. Everybody scared to upset donor networks. They just had something that happened in California, some vote that happened in California that would have given California universal health care. The Democrats, these are Democrats now, the Democrats who are supposed to be running on universal health care, running on single-payer health care, were the ones who turned down this free universal health care in California. They would have been the first state to do it, I guess, before, was it Massachusetts or something that proposed it? But anyway, it would have been a Democrat-led Congress or body that put forth free health care. They turned it down. They erased it. Chasing billionaire approval. Billionaires threw so much money into it that they was like, no, we can't go against our donors. Everybody is scared to go against the donors. So now candidates don't just need public support. They need financial permission to survive politically. That's how Donald Trump keeps most of the Republicans in line. He says, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge your campaign. I'm going to put a MAGA person in there and run that MAGA person against you, and I'm going to finance it. I'm going to get financiers. I'm going to get people to finance that person and run you out of town. Okay. This changes who gets to compete. This changes who gets to win. You can have brilliant people who got brilliant ideas. But if they don't have wealthy donors or wealthy backing, good luck for that. Like, I couldn't go out to the street and start putting up signs saying I'm running for Congress. I couldn't just go out there and get little donuts and try to win, little donors and try to run. They'll beat me out of town. They'd do a blitz on my ass. Rich donors would do a blitz on me for the other guy, just because they know I wouldn't take no money and they couldn't afford for me to win. Okay? Because I'm not profitable to them. I'm not profitable to them. So they're not gonna let, that's why James Tallarico in Texas is so vital if he's a person that's not bought by corporations, if he's not bought by corporations. Okay? Fear becomes profitable. Division becomes profitable because angry people donate faster. That's why politics constantly feels like emotional fighting and welfare now. Everybody screaming, everybody panicking, everybody hating each other because outrage keeps the machine running. And this is the part people don't like to hear. Because once people believe the system is rigged and it ain't no good, they start asking, how do we fight back? And can we fight back? This is where the moral argument starts to break down, because some people now are saying if billionaires use dark money, maybe regular people need their own version. Basically, fight fire with fire. And that scares a lot of the rich people. If us poor people pulled our shit together and went against the rich class, they couldn't beat us. If we elected people that represented us, if we supported specific people for us, get a candidate that has a contract with the American people. This is what we want. This is what we want you to do, and run that candidate. And it wouldn't be a Democrat or a Republican. It would be a different person. It would be an independent person. An independent person that would run on what we wanted that person to run on. And this is dangerous territory for the rich people, because they keep us separated, because they keep us mixed up in this culture war shit all the time. All the time. And this is dangerous to them, because once everybody starts justifying hidden money, political welfare, they gonna think there's a problem. The system is ugly. We can't be on the side of the Republicans saying hidden money and political warfare is justified. We can't be on that side, because right now they're on that side. They're on the side of Donald Trump, and they don't have the interest of the American people at hand. They can't have the interest of the American people at hand. We wouldn't be at war. We wouldn't be down this rabbit hole with a big, beautiful bill that did nothing for the regular, ordinary American person. I say rescind those tax cuts. Bring those tax cuts back. No, we finna abolish those tax cuts. We can't have those tax cuts. We can't afford those tax cuts. We can't afford this war. Okay? We have to stop what we have to stop. What choices do the American people have left? Because if one side has tanks and the other side don't have nothing, this ain't no fight. This is just a surrender. I ain't never gonna go on the side of the rich people and stand against the middle class. I ain't never gonna do that. I will always stand with the middle class. Okay, this is the problem we have right now. This is the dilemma. People feel trapped between corruption and becoming corrupted, trying to survive through it, trying to get through it. And people stop believing in the system. At the end of the day, this ain't just about court rulings. It's about trust. That's what's collapsing in this country, is the trust that we have in the system. My vote should mean just as much. My vote should mean the same as your vote. My vote should mean the same as your vote. You shouldn't get to donate $10 million and your vote means more than mine does. It should never be that way. Okay? Billionaires right now currently have more political power than its citizens. Faith in this system is starting to die. And once people stop believing in the government that is supposed to represent them, everything else becomes unstable and untenable after that. Cynicism grows Anger grows. Extremism grows. Distrust grows. Because our democracy is being auctioned off to the highest bidder right now. And whether people agree with it or not, millions of Americans already feel it emotionally. That's why the frustration right now is so deep right now. Because people don't think they competing, they can't compete with the rich people no more. They competing against money, against influence, against networks, regular people. How is it that we get to donate our money, but our money means nothing? Our money means nothing. Until this country figures out how to separate wealth from political control or corruption, people are going to keep feeling like their vote matters less and less. That's the real danger here. Not just corruption, right? Hopelessness. Because we believe the game is rigged, but we have to do something to change that. I don't know how to change it, but I do know it has to start with trying to get rid of dark money in politics. We have to get rid of that provision somehow, some way. I don't know how. We have to start lobbying against getting rid of money in politics. Otherwise, we won't ever have a say in politics unless we flip the whole system around. Refuse to pay taxes. I don't know. Refuse to vote. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't have the answer for that. But we have to do something to change the trajectory of this country. I know we shouldn't be in a war. I know we shouldn't be giving tax cuts to the rich when we have homeless people, when we have people who can't afford their rent. We have people whose wages are stagnant. Right now, people who making people who making $7 an hour should be making $20 an hour. That's how much the rate should be for somebody that's $7 an hour. That's minimum wage. It should be 20 something. But why ain't it 20 something? Because people don't want it to be. You got lobbyists pushing against that. You got people that are lobbying against poor people, lobbying against getting health care, lobbying against giving people free college. And you have to think about these things. You want your generation to have the thing more than what we have. This is the only generation right now that has less than what I have, grew up with less than what I have. Okay, this is the only generation that's like that. Okay, and nobody's thinking that it's weird. Kids that graduate from college got to be at home. If they don't make huge amounts of money, they can't afford to live on their own. So now people are starting to live together because the influence of the dark money is crippling any kind of access that we might have as regular, ordinary, middle of the road, middle class people to get anything done in Washington. Everybody is bought and paid for, and that's cool. That's fine. Fund people's campaign, but they have to do the will of the American people, because this is what it's coming to. It's coming towards a revolution where we have to say no more. We pay taxes, but we can't get nothing. We pay taxes, but we can't get nothing. We can't get universal health care. We can't get free lunches. We can't get free college. We can't get nothing, but we pay taxes every year. We pay taxes. We pay fees. We pay all of this stuff, and we can't get nothing. It's coming to that point. We got $2,000 rent for 2 bedrooms. We can't get no help with that. Nobody can get no help with that. Not everybody. The middle everyday average American people, that's a hard sale. $2,000. We can't get no money. We can't get no help. But yet we pay taxes every day. And the only way to do that is if we got money to give to a campaign. We got money to give to a campaign and millions of dollars, and then they'll do what we say. Because politicians are bought and paid for. I'm just saying, in conclusion, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button, please, and thank you. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I appreciate it. It helps me in the algorithm. I have to say, I didn't believe it. I did not believe because I had no idea about this dark money and had no idea that it was such a prevalent thing. When people started saying, I started going to the right wing content creators, and right wing content creators were saying this administration is getting money hand over fist from donors, from the government, contracts, this, that, and the other. This administration, hand over fist. And when you look into it, you think, oh no, they're not doing that. They don't have any intention of doing what the American people want them to do. They're doing what the rich people want them to do. And they're going to continue to do what the rich people want them to do. And I don't know how we're going to be able to stop it, because the Supreme Court put this in motion in 1976, and then Citizens United in 2010 opened the floodgates. Now it's dark money. You don't have to say who gave you $10 million. You don't have to say who gave you $20 million. You don't have to say who gave you $50 million. Nobody has to say anything. You don't have to say not one word. It can just be in your super PAC one day. And no accountability whatsoever. So my $1, $5, $10, $50 small, the last person that took small donations was Barack Obama in his 2008 campaign. That was the last president or last politician that was able to just take the small donors. Now everybody and their mama can pay for a politician. They can pay for the politician's access. They can pay for the politician to change rules and regulations. They can pay for the congressmen and the senators to do what they want to do. The Supreme Court even take holidays, trips, go to dinner, get ballet tickets, get all kinds of perks and assets being on the Supreme Court. So their decisions are based on access and money too. And that's why it's very important to get term limits for the Supreme Court, because we thought they were going to be partisan if they were on the court for life. They're not impartial. They're partisan because they're getting bought and paid for too. And we really can't afford them to do this to our presidency or do this to our politicians.
But just like in the European Dark Ages, in the American Dark Age, progress and innovation have simply moved. Today, China has more than 3 times as many patents as the US and has more publications in the world's top scientific journals than the US. Countries like France, Canada, Germany, Denmark, Norway, and Australia actually have programs to attract American scientists to their nations. The US has entered its dark age, but I do not think it will last for 500 years. I have more cultural perspectives on Substack.
No, the self-destruction of the United States of America is by far the most deserved downfall in human history. And no person with any sort of a conscience whatsoever would lift a finger to prevent it. And I'm telling you, it is an insult to every single person of every single nation that your country ever terrorized, to every individual of every nation that your country ever robbed or exploited or massacred. It's an insult to everyone that they are oppressing right now and throughout their monstrous history. It's an insult to every enslaved ancestor of every African, to every ancestor of every Native American. It's an insult to the ancestor of every Filipino, every Hawaiian, every Puerto Rican, every Mexican. It's an insult to the people of Iraq, to the people of Afghanistan, to the Palestinians, and the list is endless. It's an insult to literally the hundreds of millions of Uncle Sam's victims for you to want to avert his punishment in any way whatsoever, because you have the gall to come here and tell us that he still has a good heart and there's a chance that he can change.
And this is our problem. We got to get rid of the dark money, and we got to figure out a way to combat that dark money, because dark money is going to be the downfall of this country. We can see it. This country has, for the past 10 years, I want to say 10 years, because I think we were the happiest we were the happiest that we could be under the Obama presidency. That has been the height of it. It's been downhill ever since. The minute we seen or heard that acceptance speech, inauguration speech from Donald Trump, it was downhill from there. Biden, downhill from the COVID. Trump getting elected again. Down here again. Getting the money, dark money, coming into politics. It's been down here ever since. And I don't know how to turn it around. I'm hoping people know how to turn around. Hoping we get some smart people in here who know how to turn this around. Because we need help. This country needs help. This country needs to be flipped on its head. Because the way we're going right now, we're going to be in a ditch real soon from what the spiral that has been perpetrated on this country. And I don't know what the hell or when it's going to change, because it's wild right now. You all hit that like, share, and subscribe button, please, and thank you. I need you to hit the likes when you can. And I will be back with another video on tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Of course, we got to talk about politics. But we in trouble, guys. This country is in trouble. I appreciate you guys coming to see me. Please hit the like button. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you.